Hello, lovely people. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm so happy to be here today. I'm sure you can tell, right? I'm truly happy to be here today. I could not wait to hop on. And so I just want to say happy Saturday to you all, and I hope that you all have been having a productive weekend. And I hope too that, since we've last met, that you've all been doing wonderful. I'm trying to turn this volume up because I think it may have been very low. Yes. Hi, I see you, my womb food. Thank you for joining. So, I'm excited to be here today, and not just because I missed meeting with you and sharing with you all, but also because of how faithful God has been to me. And what I mean by that, when I say how faithful God has been, God has always been faithful, but He had actually revealed Himself as faithful to me on August 22nd of this year. And that was because of an accident that my daughter, my little daughter, my baby girl, and my husband had met in. And this is actually like the third accident altogether involving my family, though not all of us being in the same car at the same time. But God has been so faithful that morning before they left home, I was in worship, and that was just a different morning of praise and worship. And right there in the midst of my praise and my worship, the Lord, made me to be praying and giving thanks for what He was about to do. And I kept saying, thank you, God, for doing it again. What was it I was thanking Him for doing it again? Little did I know that it was the accident. And then when my husband called to say, hey, they've been in an accident, I was just giving God thanks all over again and thanking Him and saying, you have shown yourself faithful. And that was whom He revealed Himself to me as that morning. So it's almost like I know He's a faithful God, and it's like it was a word that I was using throughout my my faith walk, but on that morning I knew Him as a faithful God who has kept us throughout all these accidents. And might I add that this accident on August the 22nd of this year was an accident whereby the car was written off, but my baby and my husband were unscratched. That is the faithful God I serve, and because of how faithful He has been, this is why I am happy to be here, so I can share with you on how He has not just been faithful, but how He has transformed my life and make me into the woman that I am today. Some may be watching and may be wondering, or you may come upon this after the live stream is closed, and you may be wondering, how is it that I could be smiling so much after all what has happened, including things that I've been through in the past? But guess what? It has always been God's doing and God's merciful and gracious hands upon my life that has preserved me, because there is a great purpose on my life, and a part of that purpose is why I am here today. And so I am super excited to be here, and I hope that by the end of this stream, or should you come upon this live broadcast, or watch rather on the rebound, I hope and pray that it will be a great blessing to you. No, I don't think I'm gonna be too long today, right? I'm like so excited I can't stop smiling. It's no joke. But what I want to talk about today is transition in isolation. And what I mean by that is transformation and isolation, rather. That came to mind after observing some butterflies earlier this year. Well, it could have been around August, September. No, it's not August, sorry. It would be more like September, October. Yes, because school had started and I was on campus, right? And at the back of my yard, I have two lignum vitae trees or three lignum vitae trees. And during that period, I recognized, well, growing up in Jamaica, let me just say this first. Growing up in Jamaica, we have the lignum vitae tree, which is our national tree. I hope I got that right, yes? And that tree tends to attract a lot of caterpillars who later transforms into beautiful butterflies, yes? And I have three of these trees in the back of my yard, and I have other trees that attracts the butterflies, but for some reason during this period I observed these butterflies and just watched them how they flew about, yeah, and I was just in awe of how good God is, and in all aspects of life and especially nature, yeah. But there was a particular day I was on campus and I actually did a video. I made a video that I was to actually post on this very same live stream here today, but I decided that I would hold on to that video and do a live stream instead, because I think to share on a one-to-one basis, face to face, it is more engaging as well as more interactive, and I believe it may cause individuals to feel more connected, yes. And so when I sat on campus that day, I was actually waiting for a class to begin, yes. And upon waiting for the class to begin, I looked around and I looked to my left and I saw all these butterflies, and yes, there was a lignum vitae tree nearby. And as I watched them fly around, the revelation hit me on what transformation really looks like and mean. And like I made mention, I'm always in awe of nature, but that day it really hit me on how amazing the butterfly's life cycle is, how amazing it is. And for some of you, you may know the butterfly life cycle very well. Some of us may not know, and some may just need to refresh their memory, right? And so with the butterfly, they go through what? 4 cycles: the egg stage, the larva, the pupa or chrysalis stage, and the adult stage, which is the emerging butterfly, yes. And I decided to look up the life cycle of a butterfly after watching them flying about, and the revelation came to me on what it means to truly be transformed, yeah, and how beautiful it is when we transform, as well as how important or necessary isolation can be, or the importance of isolation in our lives, yes. And while I sat there and I watched them, and I thought, okay, so they go through these 4 stages, but what is the great significance surrounding the last 2 stages especially? And in all that sitting and observing them, this is where the revelation came in, yeah. And we all know very well, like I made mention, some of us or may need to be reminded of the stage, and as I made mention of the 4 stages of the metamorphosis process. And some parts of it may look a little gooey for some of us who may not like caterpillars, and for some of us it may seem as though the caterpillar is experiencing maybe a painful or an uncomfortable, let me use that word instead, an uncomfortable process, especially when it spindles into the chrysalis stage, or when it's emerging from the what's that thing called, from the oh my goodness, from the shell. I'm gonna just say the shell for now, the word is not coming to mind, right? And I believe that for the last two stages it's very significant. And you may ask why do you think that the last two stages are most important? Isn't all four stages important and necessary? Of course, but I'm gonna tell you why I believe that these two last stages of the metamorphosis process is more significant to me, in addition to the revelation that I got while sitting on campus waiting for class to start. Yes? And I'm going to start with the third stage, which is the pupa or the chrysalis stage. And this is where the caterpillar spindles into a cocoon. The word now comes, a cocoon. So that little thing that looks like a shell that they're in. And when they're in this stage, it is like the isolation or incubation stage. Yeah? And in the isolation and incubation stage, it represents safety and maturity. I want to take my time right here. Like a baby, when a baby is in an incubator, the incubator is there to protect this baby because the baby would have been born premature. So that would mean that the baby has not been fully developed in the way that it should at the stage that it should have. So in order for it to be able to survive, in order for this baby to be able to mature further or develop further, the baby has to be placed in an incubator to protect it from all elements outside that would hinder or disable its development. I'm going somewhere already. Yes? And also, because the baby has not been fully mature to the stage it should have been to be birthed into the world, it has to be placed in a safe environment. So the baby has to be placed in the incubator so that it can be able to breathe perfectly with all of the artificial stuff that might be placed there so that the baby can survive. Yes? And the incubator helps that baby to develop to a perfect stage until it's able to be taken from the incubator. In a similar way, as individuals, when we're going through our isolation period, yes, it is an alone space and time. It is a moment where you're gonna be set apart. It is a moment where you're gonna be away from everything, from the noise, from the chaos, from the drama and the trauma that is on the outside world of you. So being in isolation or incubation is necessary. So it is necessary for the caterpillar, because if the caterpillar is not in the cocoon or does not allow itself to stay in the cocoon, it would be exposed to elements on the outside. Birds and other creatures could very well eat it up. So when it stays in the cocoon, it is able to mature, to emerge beautifully, right? And isolation usually has a negative connotation, but here we can see that the caterpillar being in the cocoon later emerges to be something beautiful. So today you can maybe look at isolation as something not always negative, but also a positive venture. And this now leads me to further state that during this stage of our lives as human beings, as individuals, it is a stage of our life that God wants to mature us and mature what is on the inside of us. Yes? And coming out prematurely could affect or abort or manifested transformation. I said something very profound right there. If I have lost you, please feel free to ask a question and state whatever comment you believe, may be an addition to this stream that could help someone. Yeah? And also the last stage, which is the fourth stage, I believe is very important, is the adult stage. And this is the stage where the butterfly emerges. Oh my goodness, this is a sweet point in time. A sweet, sweet point in time. Now, before I continue on this fourth and last stage of the butterfly process, I remember about maybe 6 years ago, and I believe I would have shared briefly too on this before, that I was in my isolation / incubation period, and although I did not understand fully what was happening with me, I stayed in my incubator, because although I did not fully understand what was happening in my life, I knew something great was happening and something greater was to come. Yes, and that's the reason why I'm here today. I was sitting still in my incubator because I wanted God to process me so that I could be mature in whatever way He needed me to be mature. And remember, I made mention earlier in the stage, in the pupa / chrysalis stage, that similar to the butterfly, when the butterfly stays in the cocoon, it later emerges. It would have been properly processed and fully mature before it can emerge. In the very same, I stayed in my incubator, in my cocoon, so that God could process me, so that I could come out or emerge beautifully. Yeah? So with the last stage, as I made mention, the adult stage, which is where the beautiful butterfly emerges, this stage symbolizes or represents purpose. Yeah, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Because during that period of my isolation, I was pursuing God. I was seeking God on what my purpose is, what it is that I am to do, why am I here? And this is exactly a part of the reason why I'm sitting here today, because of sitting in my incubator, allowing the process to take place while I was being developed. Yeah? And you may ask, what do I mean by this? What do I mean is that with the butterfly's emergence, it will be pollinating plants and trees. Just as the bees pollinates our plants and our trees, it's in a similar way that the butterfly does the same. And when they do this, it results in more seeds being produced, and later, of course, we'll have more plants and more trees and more fruits, yeah, etc. Yeah. In a similar way, we too as humans, individuals, can produce more fruit. after emerging from the previous processing. Let me say that again. In a similar way as the butterfly produces, it's in a similar way that we too can produce more fruit, because there are seeds that have been planted within us, seeds of greatness that is there to be nurtured, watered, and later producing more fruit, right? And some may say, I'm a little bit confused. I'm not sure I'm following what you're saying. Let me give you another story. This is a story in the book of Luke chapter 6, verses 12 to 19. In this chapter, Jesus went to pray. He went away to pray. And there are a lot of scriptures that talks about Jesus going away to either the mountaintop or across the waters to pray. That means he goes away from the noise. He goes away from everyone tugging and pulling at him. He goes away from all the turmoil. He goes away to be in isolation, to be in quietness where he can pray to the Father. He can hear what the Father is saying, and so that he can do that which he has been instructed to do. And in fact, during isolation too, because you would have been processed and developed or being matured, you will then be stronger. So you will be stronger emotionally, you'll be stronger mentally, you'll be stronger physically, and that is a fact. And when you also go through your isolation stage, because you are being built up, you are able to do so much more when you come out. Because with the baby in the incubator or in that space, it's so weak because already the baby was born premature. So the things that the baby should have been able to do, the baby will not be able to do it. But as long as the baby is being processed or stays in the incubator until it's being, fully processed or, mature in the way that the baby should, then the baby coming out will be able to do some of the things that other babies are doing when it gets to a certain stage of its development. Yes? And going back to the story of Jesus, when he went to the mountain to pray and he came back, what he did was he assigned 12 disciples. He selected 12. In addition to selecting the 12, when he came down, he healed people, he delivered people, he saved people, he did all of that kind of thing. So this is what I'm saying. This is the fact. This is the result you will get when you allow the isolation/incubation stage to take its course. So that is what I mean by when I said that I too, when I was in my isolation stage, my incubation stage, I was being processed, and though I did not fully comprehend everything that was happening, I allowed the process to take its course so that when I come out, I would be fully developed and I would be mature enough in certain areas. And I'm not saying that I am 100% mature in every area, or I'm 100% developed in every area, as I believe that there's always room for growth, development, and improvement. And some may say, but that kind of sounds a bit contradictory, because you're saying when you stay in there, you'll come out fully developed and mature and so on. Yes, there are some areas that you will be, and it's depending on wherever God is taking you. And as you go along and you continue to pursue personal development too, or personal growth, you will be further developed or matured in other areas of your life. Yeah? And with all of that said, that's what the last stage of the butterfly is all about. Purpose. Purpose. Yeah? And one of the other things, as I sat and I watched them, I thought to myself, or the thought came to mind rather, or the revelation came to mind, that transformation is beautiful. And I'm sure you can agree. When you look around and see all the beautiful butterflies, the only thing you're seeing is just beauty, right? However, some of us may not go through the process because, one, we may be struggling with transforming because of the layers that needs to be peeled. The caterpillar, after the egg is laid and the caterpillar is to emerge from that eggshell, what happens is it forces its way out. As a matter of fact, it kind of looked, when I watched the video, it kind of seemed like it's biting at that shell to escape it or to emerge from it. And after the caterpillar comes out, what it will do is it will eventually turn and eat that very same shell that it came out of. So I was just thinking to myself, there has to be some kind of nutrient or something in this shell why it turns and eats it. Why does it see it as food? Only God knows. I cannot answer that part. But the layer, you know, it's necessary to peel the layers away. And as the caterpillar grows, it keeps eating. So it's constantly eating. It constantly eats. And as it eats, it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And in order for it to, sit comfortably in its new skin, it has to shed some old skin for the new growth. Oh my goodness, I said something there just now. It has to shed some of the layers so that it can experience its new growth, or so that it can sit comfortably in its new growth. So this is why this is why rather it is necessary and it is good to peel away the layers. But some of us may struggle to peel away those layers. But I'm here to encourage you, to let you know that you ought not to be afraid to peel away the layers, but rather to do so even through the discomfort, so that you can walk into your new growth, or so that you can embrace it. Yeah? Some of us may also struggle with enduring the process of transforming or transformation. And this may be because we're used to the comfort zone. We like sitting in our comfort zone. We don't want to move away from our comfort zone. Some may argue and say, well, it's good to stay in your comfort zone sometimes, because sometimes when you stay there, you know, it may protect you from some other things that you may take a risk to. And that may be true, but if we tend to stay in our comfort zone more often than we get out of it, we're actually missing out on all of the lovely things that is on the external side. Yeah? Some of us may also struggle with transformation because and prefer to stay in the isolation or incubation stage because of fear. Because we don't know what is on the other side. And as human beings, for some of us, that may be true. I too have struggled with that a lot of times, so I know exactly how it feels to try to stay into our comfort zone, so you know, and not take the risk. So it's some would say a 50-50. Yeah. Some of us may even struggle with transformation because we fear that no one will like or accept. Ah, Jesus, I feel this one. No one will like or accept the newly transformed individual that we have become. My God, a lot of times when we have been transformed, people are not able to identify with the old skin, with the old me, with the old you. People may not be able to identify any longer with the person who used to do certain things, with the person who used to say certain things, with the person who used to act a certain way, with the person who used to dress a certain way. And when people are not able to identify with the new us, it can create some form of a conflict. And that conflict is really with the individual and themselves, and not so much you. Because the thing is that they're not able to perceive this new image, this likeness, that which God have transformed into his own image. I'm saying something right there. Yeah? And again, the newly transformed you, people may not like or accept because they have now a fear, or may interpret or see you as a threat to them, or may feel intimidated by you. And there's really no need for that. What it means is for you to then come up to. And this is why I'm here, because I have been transformed, and still I am being transformed. And I want to help, to share and help others to know that they too can be transformed. And to know that though their new image, their transformation may not be what they're used to, it is okay. Embrace it. That's the only way you're going to become one with the newly transformed you, embracing it. To recognize that it is because of where you're going why you can no longer look, be, act, talk, walk, think the way you used to. You have to just change your mindset, your action, and your language, or your attitude and your language. Yeah. Now, I'm going to be closing off by just saying this simple, that even with the struggles that you may face, I want you to know that you can pursue that beautiful you and emerge. And what transformation does, or is that it's beautiful, as I made mention before. Transformation enables you to explore yourself and the world around you. You may be saying, how can I explore me? I already know me. Let me tell you something. When you have been transformed, when you have emerged, the true nature of who you are, who God created you to be, it was always on the inside. But because you have now been transformed, your eyes are now able to behold this new image. Though it might seem strange, you are now beholding this new image, this new beauty, and maybe wondering, wow, if I had known, or I didn't know that there was this beautiful side to me. Sometimes too, it is the environment around us that may cause us to start seeing ourselves otherwise. So it is important to pursue this newly transformation, or newly emerged beautiful you. Yeah? Transformation also enables you to activate the abilities and capabilities and strengths that you possess. I said something very powerful right there, very profound. That's what transformation does. It is because God has transformed me, especially in the past, 2017, 6 years, and I'm still being transformed. Why I am this woman sitting before you, this woman of worth, this woman of purpose, this woman of greatness, this woman of confidence. It is because of God's goodness and grace that has transformed me to experience what I'm experiencing. And that is why I'm here to share with you, to let you know, my Woman of Worth community, that you too can be transformed, that the beautiful you that is within you, the woman of greatness that is within you, within your heart, the great desire that you have to become this great powerhouse, this great woman, this great mother, this great businesswoman, this great wife, she is still there. She is waiting for you to tap into her and cause her to emerge. Yes? And it is because of the transformation why some things that I am now experiencing and walking into, some of these capabilities, strengths and abilities, I had them all along, but I just did not see them before. I was not able to identify with them years before, beyond the 6 years ago. I was not able to identify with them because I just really didn't know. They were always there, and it was people over the years who would have, pointed out some things to me. In fact, years before that, when I would have shared this before, when I went to do a course at one of the UWE campuses, that it was highlighted that I had the leadership qualities, but I didn't know that before. And now, with me being transformed continually, all the strengths that I have, the abilities and the capabilities and the skill sets and the talents and the gifts that I have, they are being activated one by one. And that is because of the beautiful transformative experience that I've had during my isolation / incubation stage or process up to 6 years ago. So I'm leaving this with you and encouraging you, my Woman of Worth community, to allow the metamorphosis stage to take its course. But while it is taking its course, be sure to be expectant to emerge into that beautiful butterfly, so that you can explore the world around you and yourself, so that you can be free and light. Butterflies are very light. They are free. They're able to fly all about. So that's what I'm leaving with you this evening. And I want to thank you all for joining. I appreciate you. And I pray that the stream will bless your heart. For those who have watched live and for those who will watch on the rebound, I hope that it will do the very same too for you. It will bless you and cause you to pursue that beautiful you like a butterfly and emerge and explore the world around you. Shalom. Bye-bye.